All right, welcome everybody to the episode 13 of the Third Banner Pod. This is Ash, your host with the most, and tonight we got a lot to talk about. A fluffy recruit that committed to the Cardinals, and we've got Kyle, Ty, and the birthday boy himself, Ross. We've got you on tonight. Happy birthday, my friend!
And Happy birthday, Ross!
Happy birthday, Ross!
Let's get it going,
Thank
guys.
Thank you. Awesome mental health day today. You know, just been easy and carefree today. You know, had to, like everybody wants to do on their birthday, you know, they just wish to take their car to the mechanic. That's what I had to do first thing this morning. Got to go with day 2 tomorrow. I got to figure out how the hell I'm getting to work. You know, but we're going to get it fixed. That's part of adulting. Did some top golf with the wife. It's a beautiful day. Ran a few errands, cut grass. Yeah, man, feeling it. Feeling good.
Kyle, love the headgear.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to take it off now just to celebrate the good news. I don't have a good basketball celebration attire. That was it.
I thought that was like your permanent helmet.
It's mental health day. I'm just protecting my head. That's what it is. So anyway, hey, we got a guard. We did land a guard.
Yes, we did.
Obviously, you know, we've been landing guards in football, so we have to specify. It was a guard in basketball.
And New York City guard at that. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yep. Ty-Laur Johnson, 6 foot, 160. So he's a small little lightning rod. We've got some video we're going to pull up of him in a little bit. I will say I've seen some of the comps people have done, and I saw Keon Minifield, a guy that we were trying to get out of Washington, who ended up, you know, spurning us, for lack of better terms, and going to Arkansas with the other 18 guards on their roster. That's kind of what he reminded me of, watching him a little bit. Mm-hmm. I have heard some people say Russ Smith, and I am very guarded on anybody being compared to Russ Smith. Russ Smith is such a unique player that I don't think people understand just how unique of a player Russ Smith is.
Right.
I'm not willing to give him that yet. He's going to have to do something to earn that kind of rep.
One on 4 advantage Russ.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. But I did see some Keon Minifield. It was weird watching him. That's kind of who I'm not saying he'll be. I don't know. Keon's really good. So, I mean, that'd be a lot to live up to even as a freshman, because Keon averaged over 10 points a game as a frosh. Now, it was for Washington, but then again, you know, we've got a lot of room for somebody to step up as well. So you never know. But I'm excited about it. I do think there's some extreme reactions on both sides to landing him. Do I think he's going to come in and crush it right off the bat? No. But we needed another guard, and yes, I wanted other guys. And yes, I'd still wish we had a much more experienced guard to complement these guys, but we don't. And the alternative that I was looking at was no guards besides Sky Clark. So this is a step in the right direction. It does fill out the roster. And I'm impressed. And Connor put that he talked to one of a New York guard that said he's coming from a high competition league. I believe that. He has that New York mentality. I mean, I'm all for it. I don't know. We'll talk about the pros and the cons of the roster as a whole. I do think that experience is going to be a thing, and we're going to have to be patient with some of this, which I don't have much patience, I'll be honest. But I think we got a good one. I just hope we can keep them from entering that portal and get the potential out of them.
Got to echo your enthusiasm, Tron. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Heck yeah.
I think, like you said, you talked about the experience, Kyle. You know, Ty-Laur Johnson, our new commitment point guard. He's going to be a true freshman. There's going to be mistakes. You're going to have to live with it. But what he shows on tape is really impressive. I love his attack mentality, especially off pick and roll, super quick. He really, when I watched him, I love how whatever he attacks, he does it with a purpose. He's looking to, you know, hit the corner for an open 3, or looking to get in the paint and hit a floater or dump it off to a big man. I'm excited. I love his game. I love the addition. I would love it so much more had we got another guard out of the portal with some experience to kind of bring him along a little slower. But I really do genuinely like the addition of Ty-Laur Johnson. So
Yeah, man. Can y'all see or hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
yes.
Because y'all look frozen on my screen.
I think it's your internet, Ross.
Awesome. Just awesome. Okay. Well, I'll be honest. When I heard that we got a guard, I was at work. I was super busy, so I couldn't even check it out till hours later. But I was expecting kind of this same repetitive pattern of Fabio Johnson, dear Lord, Fabio from last year. You know, a kid that you can see has some tools, but you just don't see being able to log any minutes this year. Come to find out, he was just committed to Memphis not too long ago. Penny has an eye for talent, and you know this kid isn't just he's not a diamond in the rough or anything, but he Penny knows where he wants. You know, he's good about getting the players he needs. So this kid is legit. Coming from a program where they've pumped out J.R. Smith, Tyler Ennis. I think Isaiah Briscoe went there. You know, there's a lot of proven kids to come out of where he's coming from. And you know, being the number one, isn't he the number one guard in the state of New York?
Yeah, he's the number one recruit overall in New York, isn't he?
Yeah. So I mean, the kid can
He's
ball.
a four-star guy, so
Yeah, he can ball, man. I'm really excited about this addition.
yeah, I am too. And I just want to, you know, echoing off of what you mentioned at the start of your comment, Ross, a friend of mine texted me, "Hey, we got a guard commitment." And my first thought was, oh, this must be like a 2024 guy that's committed, because he didn't say who it was or anything. He just said, "Hey, we got a guard that committed to us." And I was like, oh, it must be, you know, next year guy this late in the cycle. That's just instantly where my mindset went. And then when he said, no, it's for this year, I was like, well, it must be a transfer was my next thought. And then when I saw who it was, I was like, oh man, this is awesome. Seeing a four-star guy out of high school coming into the program. So I'm not going to lie, guys, just as soon as they, you know, you get out on the staff and you get out on where the program is, they start pulling me back in. So I don't know where you guys are, but my hopes have gone right back up. So hopefully they don't pull that rug out from under me or loosey me with the football again.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if I can get Ross back in here. He's having some internet connection difficulties, but we'll continue to talk. Ash, I'm with you. One thing I noticed, and I've watched a little bit of film on him already, but we can watch the highlights of him. His first step is very quick. I think that was a strength I noticed. The biggest strength I noticed was definitely his first step. He's very quick off the dribble, taking that first step. The biggest weakness I potentially see is some of his decision-making, shot selection, and a little bit erratic with the ball at times, but that's something that can be reined in. It's something that should be expected. And with a New York style guard, they tend to go balls to the wall. So you kind of get that kind of style play sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, and we're going to pull up Tyler's 24/7 page here in just a second here as soon as I find it. But I think I have it for you, Ash, right here. So we can go a little further in. But you see 6 foot 160. He is a little light, but again, he's going to have plenty of time to work on his body. And I think he does have a decent frame where he could put on a little more weight, get a little stronger. But he's fearless attacking the basket. He's fearless. Gets in the paint. Like I said, he does it with a purpose. I saw multiple clips of him, you know, getting into the paint and hitting the floater, kicking it out to the three. This is what we've been begging for. This is what we've been looking for. And I'm excited. I love the addition. We mentioned the number one player of the state of New York. New York produces good players every year, seemingly. And then Ross mentioned the Memphis with Penny Hardaway. He has an eye for talent. As far as you know, late additions, I thought this was a home run. Really, as a late addition, I thought it was great. And kudos to Kenny and the staff for getting this done. And they really do move in silence, I guess, because nobody had any clue that this was even a possibility. So, Kenny, kudos to Kenny and the staff for getting this done. Ash, do you have any more thoughts? And I'll get this video pulled up for us.
Yeah, one of the cool things to me is, the guards typically from New York have a little bit of toughness to them. I'm using generality. Sorry for stumbling over my words there, but generally speaking, guards from New York have a lot of toughness to them. And that was one of the things when we were talking about Abbas was it was his toughness. And I always mentioned back then that, I thought that was something our team could use. And so, that's one thing that I think that this commitment is big for us in that regard as well, is bringing that New York City toughness to our program. And I think that'll be something that's great for our guys. And I think it'll be big for our team.
What happened to our overlay there?
I messed it up. 1 second.
I'm back
Okay.
if y'all can hear me.
Yeah, we got you. Yeah, we were. Whoa.
Apparently there's like some sort of major outage that's going on around Louisville right now. So
Of
I
course.
apologize.
Yeah.
There we go. Now we look right. All right. So yeah, like I said, you can see in some of these, just that first step whenever he decides he's going to the rim is just boom. Like he's got some lightning quick moves that you can't teach. So
And a really good passer, which is going to help this team tremendously, because last year I thought we struggled so much.
bam, there it is right there.
The ball. Like we couldn't make simple passes.
Now, whoever that is played good defense right there on that, but that's that step, man. That's hard to stay in front of something like that. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to it. I think he's going to be entertaining no matter what. He's going to be a player. I can tell you right now, he's going to be one of those guys where you're cussing them and then like cheering and then cussing them, and it's going to be up and down. It's going to be a roller coaster of emotions watching him play. I can see it now. But hey, after what we went through last year, I mean, I actually have insomnia and I did not need any sleep aids. I just had to watch us play, and I don't think we're going to have that problem with this kid out there. Now, I don't think he'll start. I wish he was prepared to start, because I think him alongside Sky Clark would probably, as far as like position-wise, be our best bet. But my guess is they don't do that. My guess is they put Mike James at the 2, and we can get into some of that as well as far as roster construction, expectations. But I do want to end as far as talking about not only this kid, which look at that shot. His shot selection does have to get better, but he has the form to shoot the long shot pretty well. But I did want to say, like, the 23 class looked dead in the water 3 months ago. Dead in the water. And it was very disappointing because, the whole dark cloud thing was removed, and we thought we were going to get all these guys rolling in here, and it really didn't happen for a few months. And the class looked to be done almost.
Yeah. This was so out of left field.
So the staff, they get a lot of credit for the high school part of this, because of the 23 classes lined up to be, legit top 3. And that's, you give him all the credit in the world for that. We can get into the overall roster and the overall recruiting when you add the portal recruiting in there, because I do think our portal recruiting, we need a lot of instant impact help that could come in and immediately help. I think that's where this roster is severely lacking, and shooting wise as well. I question some of that, but there is a talent influx, and we also no longer have this. Is this really Kenny Payne's roster? Is it not? No, this is definitely his roster, and it's do or die with his guys now. So that's something I can't wait to see. Let's see. I want to see what kind of basketball identity we have either, because I feel like last year I still don't really know what we were trying to do half the time. That cannot be excused this year. You got your dudes in there. I question a couple of the names we landed, but you wanted them, you pursued them, and you went out of your way to get them. So I'm curious to see what you do with some of these guys like Coron Davis, like Danilo. I'm curious. So can't wait.
If you take a look at this, is, by the way, this graphic I got off of Cardinal Authority from 80 Cards 86. So shout out to you, sir, for letting us use this graphic. He put this together for us. But you look at the 13 scholarships here. All of them but 2 are Kenny Payne's guys. Mike James and JJ Traynor, the only ones remaining from the Chris Mack era. So this is Kenny's team. He's turned over the roster with his guys now. What happened last year is what happened last year. Now it's time to put some results on the table. Ultimately, when we're in regards to Ty-Laur Johnson and what you can expect year one, I feel like if you can get probably 8 to 12 minutes a game from him of solid play where you feel like you're not losing much, that would be excellent expectations for him. Because before we even got Ty-Laur to commit, we were looking at Sky Clark playing 35 plus minutes a game. And as you know, we know that Sky has had a knee issue before in the past. I don't know. I would assume at this point he's pretty well healed up from that, but we haven't seen him play a lot since then. So this is, if you can get 8 to 12 minutes a game from Ty-Laur to back up Sky, I feel like that would be great. I feel like at least your point guard should be. You should feel a little bit better about that. I do get a little worried with where the shooting is going to come from. I feel like there's a lot of there's just not a proven shooter. Mike James had his moments last year, and JJ has his moments, but outside of that, it's a little worrisome. Curtis Williams is being tabbed as a really good shooter coming out of high school, but I don't really see Curtis getting a lot of time in year one. Maybe that's not the case. Maybe Curtis plays a lot. I don't see Curtis getting a ton of time in year one. So shooting does kind of worry me a bit. But I am, like I said, Ty-Laur Johnson was big. It was big for us. You get a future point guard and a guy that can come in, play behind Sky, and learn a little bit. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think that it's going to be exciting. We're going to have some excitement to watch in the backcourt now. With Sky Clark and Ty-Laur Johnson. I think those guys playing together might be pretty exciting. So I'm interested to see in watching this team to come together and grow as the season goes along. And I think it'll be something that'll be fun to watch.
For sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think if we're looking at it, what I really want to see happen, I hope y'all can hear me and see me.
Yeah, we can now. Yep.
Am I frozen or what?
No, you were about
you're good now.
Ago.
Because y'all are still frozen to me. But anyways, if you can hear me, we're just gonna roll with it. What I expect is, and what I want to see is that I want to see Ty-Laur get all the minutes he can possibly get within reason. If he messes up, I'd like to see you pull him, teach him up, coach him up. But I want him to get every opportunity early, and I want him to be ready come the end of January when we're in the thick of our ACC schedule, because I think he is a kid that if you do this right, that he can be a major contributor come that time. And I think it would be best, we would be our best, most complete team if him and Sky Clark are on the floor together running the show. I think that's very obvious. Just really what we're kind of seeing already. So just from, it's highlight tapes, but he stirs up a lot of holes with this roster and a lot of stuff that us and a lot of fans have been asking for. So I want to see him get that opportunity, and I want him to take advantage of that opportunity. He's got to seize it. So, but I want him to get those opportunities. So I'm excited. It's amazing what one guy can do for a roster, but unless you're talking about experience, I don't see a lot of glaring holes in this roster now. And Ty, you showed that graphic. I couldn't see it, but I know which graphic you're talking about. That roster with Ty-Laur Johnson in it looks like a competitor. So, I'm really, really hoping to see this kid maximize his opportunity, and I want to see this staff maximize his potential in year one.
Absolutely, Ross.
So speaking of like expectations and where we see this roster going, I know there's a lot of people that may, as the year goes on, if we take some struggles, they may say, well, this is a young roster, and so we're just going to have to gut it out this year. And I will say right off the bat, that is not the answer this year. I'm sorry, but that was last year. Last year was the year where we said, hey, if we take some bumps in the first season coming off of a bad two-coach season where Chris Mack kind of left in the middle of the year and it wasn't a good season, that was the year to go 15-15. That was the year to go even 13-19 or whatever. We went 4-28. It is what it is. It was terrible, but this year the expectations do not change, and this is his roster. And I mean, Nolan is on Twitter as of tonight saying, like, I'm keeping receipts of what everybody's saying. You can keep receipts of the Third Banner Pod because we have been critical at times, but I mean, I feel fine saying that we all are hoping for the best, and we're not just like bashing people or being super pessimistic. We base it on what we're seeing, and our takes are based on hoping for the best and expecting the best. So that the expectations for me are to make the tournament this year. I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't think we need to make the Sweet 16, the Elite Eight, the Final Four. I'd love to make at least that. My expectations this year to make the tournament. If we lose to Loyola Marymount in the first round, I'm not going to be thrilled. And I'm still I'd say the jury will still be out as far as my faith in the staff, but I would be willing to try a third season. I'd say, hey, we made the tournament compared to going 4-28. But I mean, if we miss another tournament here, I'm not going to be happy about it. And that's when I'm going to start, saying, hey, we got to move on. And that's just my opinion. I don't know about you guys.
Look,
but,
this is still Louisville basketball. I mean,
right.
the expectations don't change.
Right.
And I'm sorry, but like, I expect that from Kenny Payne because Kenny gets it. He's one of us. He was such a big part in building Louisville basketball to what it is today. He played a huge part in that. So Kenny knows that. He's not dumb. He knows that that's the expectation, and it should be that. That's what you want as a coach. You want those high expectations. You want a fan base that's passionate. We have been critical, negative, and at the same time, we've been positive and give
Right.
credit where credit is due. And that's not going to change. Okay, Connor with the chicken. Okay. Anyways, back to what I was saying. Like you're gonna get both. You're gonna get both of that here. So while we recognize what happened last year, the 428, I'll give him credit for his high school class. Kenny and Nolan and the staff, they really knocked it out of the park with the high school class. In terms of the roster in general, I still maintain that I wish we had hit the portal a little harder. In particular, the guard spot.
Yeah.
I feel like the Ty-Laur Johnson commitment would make me feel so much better if there was another guard in place to where you don't have to expect much from him. But because it's not, you're going to have to expect more from him. And I think he's capable of it. It's just, you got to get him to that point, like Ross said in January, where he's ready to go.
Yeah, and so when I look at the roster, I'm really looking at like the way it's composed. It's still not a perfect, perfectly orchestrated roster as far as complementing each other. But I do think it can make the tournament. But I think the things that are going to have to overcome the most are, who is going to primarily distribute the ball to other people. Obviously, we're thinking it's Sky Clark, but that's not necessarily a guarantee as far as his ability to do that. We haven't really seen it. He claims he's feeling better coming off of that ACL surgery from high school than he's felt since before the injury. So that's great. Hopefully that's true, and hopefully he maintains his health and can be a huge asset for us. Hopefully Ty-Laur Johnson can come in, spell him some, and also complement him in certain lineups maybe for a little bit at least. The big thing I see some guys who, if you set them up, can make some plays. I see a lot of guys who can take a couple of dribbles and shoot. Trey White is not known for having a great shot off the dribble. Trenton Flowers is not known for having a good shot off the dribble. So these are guys that are going to have to be set up. And I mean, they can do a couple of that, they can take a couple of dribbles, but they're not going to be known as guys who are like primary distributors or primary creators on their own, at least not yet starting out. And I'm really interested just to see how Kenny Payne, Nolan Smith, Danny Manning, Josh Jameson, all of them. I'm interested to see how this staff kind of manages these guys, because I know there's like a recruiting guy who, he for a living follows these guys, and he said, you got some strong egos on this team right now. So he said, I'm really interested to see how you're going to get them all to work together. And I could see some of that being an issue and the shooting being an issue. So hopefully we've got answers for that. I expect a much more entertaining product next year, though. I want to see us be fast, man. I want to see us play up and down, kind of like some of those Florida State teams did under Leonard. Not last year, obviously, but a couple of years ago. And before that, we saw some really interesting, long, lengthy Florida State teams who had guys all across the court or all over the court that could create shots for themselves, for others. I think that's the type of model that would be best compatible with this current roster, because there are going to be some limitations here. We shouldn't be getting out rebounded by many teams. I'll say that. No excuse for our length. I worry about some of our defense, in particular at the top of the key, when guys are blowing past us, some smaller, quicker guys. But, if I'm putting the over under on the amount of wins this roster should be able to achieve, I'm going to put it right at 20. I don't know if you guys agree with that number or have a higher or lower number. What do you guys think? What would you guys place the over under expectations, knowing what the roster is now?
I mean, it's still Louisville basketball, so like my expectation is that we still are much improved as far as like, how much rope do we give the staff and whatnot. But just kind of also going back to one thing that you said about playing fast was this the videos that we watched of Ty-Laur Johnson. That was one of the things that I noticed right away was his acceleration. I felt like he got to the basket real quick. He was really quick with the ball. He got up and down the court while dribbling really fast. Mm-hmm. And that's something that his explosiveness really jumped out to me. So the ability to play at a high tempo is something that excites me.
What are you setting the line at, Ash? What are you setting the win line at?
Are you asking me what I think will happen, or what needs to happen for the staff to be safe?
No. You're looking at the roster. This roster is not the Louisville Cardinals right now. You're looking at this roster and you're looking at how it's constructed. Where are you setting the bar at for wins?
Man, it's very unknown because you got so many new pieces. But I don't think it's totally unreasonable that this team could go 500.
Okay.
You expect 500 for the season?
Yes.
I see 12 to 15 wins, somewhere right in that wheelhouse. That's kind of where I'm at. And, I'm going to be honest, I don't want a losing record, but, 12 wins in the way we played last year, 12 wins this year and the way we played last year, I'll be pissed. Right.
Yeah.
But if we see 12 wins this year and we see a change in the culture and we see a change in response from the players to the coaching staff, that's something different. That's a different animal. So,
man, you're a lot nicer to me, man. I see 12 wins. I don't care how you put lipstick on that pig. I'm done.
Yeah. I mean, the biggest thing is that last year we didn't see a lot of answers from the players to the way they responded to the staff, vice versa, the staff, how they handled that roster. I'm hopeful the way that the roster is constructed now, and now that they have the players that they feel like have the motors, the work ethics that we're hearing, that we will see a change in response from the players to the staff. So that's really the biggest thing. And I think when you get into that, what you're talking about is, ultimately the end result would be, do you see a team that's competitive? Last year we just didn't see a team that had a lot of fire, a lot of competitive spirit. I think if we can see that this year and see that the staff responds, I mean, the staff, then that would be a huge feather in their hat, no pun intended. But
So I actually was talking about this with my buddy Terrence. We were talking about the Ty-Laur Johnson commitment and
Shout out to buddy
expectations.
Terrence.
My buddy Terrence, shout out.
Terrence?
But he told me that he told me that he expected about 17 to 22 wins. I told him I'll make a bet. Then we called it at 16.5, and I'm taking the under. So and of course I don't know how Vegas is going to do it, but we'll find out. It's another time what Vegas thinks. But if I was a betting man and the win total was 16.5, I would go under. I hope to God it's over. I really do. I don't want this to happen. I don't want to win 16 or less games and have another bad season. I want to play in the tournament. I watched March Madness. That was brutal to watch without us.
I'm
It's
sick
brutal.
of doing that.
I'm
And
sick
I will
of doing
say
it.
there was a time where like a rebuild took 2 or 3 years. That time's gone with the portal. And so if you don't use
Yeah.
the portal, you only land a couple guys out of portal, that's on you, man. You landed all these high school guys, which we're happy about, but I think that's where we sorely missed out on some portal guys. The first few games will tell the tale. We've got that Empire State Classic or whatever it's called. That's going to tell the tale. If we go there and we get spanked in 2 games, well, that really tells you exactly what to expect for a while. And if we go out there and we show out though, and we're competitive and heaven forbid we win at least a game in that, then I mean there's a chance. And I really do. I'm setting the bar at 20 wins. It's based on the talent, and it's based on the fact that the staff passed on guys that were experienced that they could have gotten, and they passed on them. So I don't give a break for that. Like if you didn't land a guy you thought you were going to land in a place, tough. That's tough, man, because you had a guy, you had the bird in the hand. So now my expectations are based on having that bird in hand or having a player that you deem is better than that bird in the hand or that you wanted more. So I did want to talk about Anthony Eason asked, can't Trey White play some guard? I wanted to address that a little earlier, but everybody was talking and wanted them to get their point across or get their points in. But I've seen 3 different recruiting guys now, all 3 of them on separate platforms. They've all said that he is not a guard, and they've all been very, very emphatic about that. There was no hesitation there. And I look at his assist to turnover ratio. I've looked at his strengths and weaknesses per scouting reports, and I've watched the film. I don't know everything. I'm just saying that's what I'm basing my opinion off of, but I haven't been seeing a bunch of his games. I saw a couple of USC games last year, including that tournament game against, I believe it was Michigan State, but I don't see guard skills there, and that's fine. I think he has a role on this team. I just don't think he's a guard. I think we're wanting him to be a guard. I think a faction of this fan base would really like him to be a guard. Sure to hell would make things a lot easier. And I do think that's the biggest glaring problem on the roster now is we don't really have a go-to second guard in the starting lineup. And that could be a big problem. But I see other guys. I don't know. You got to kind of hope Coron Davis is what the staff thinks he is as far as being able to be a guard. I'm concerned about that for many reasons as well, but that's, we're going to put somebody there, whether it's Trenton Flowers or Trey White or Coron Davis, Mike James.
Kyle, I want to, before we go too far away from, because we're talking about win totals and expectations. So if we put the number at 20 wins, let's just say we're putting at 20 wins. Ash, I have something. If you can share this for me, I would appreciate it. This is the ACC basketball standings from last year. Now, I want to bring this up because if our expectations are making the tournament, Miami, Virginia, Duke, Pittsburgh, and NC State made the tournament, correct? I don't think Clemson made it, did they?
No, they did not.
Okay, Clemson didn't make it.
That was because of us.
Well,
we whipped that ass.
Right. But look at their ACC records. Clemson at 14-6 didn't make it. NC State at 12-8 was one of the last few teams in. So to get to that total, you're looking at having to go like 13-7 in conference play, and then you're looking at a total record. I mean, NC State was one of the last few teams in, and they made it at 23-11. You're going to need at least that, in my opinion, to make it, because I don't think the ACC is going to be that much better this year. It's still early. I don't know who everybody has added. I know Duke has another great class coming in. I think Miami probably takes a little bit of a step back, but that's what you're going to have to do. If the expectation is to make the tournament, you're going to have to go 13-7, in my opinion, no less than 12-8 in ACC play to make it.
I mean, we've got
this team. Can you think this team can do that? I don't know.
It's not about what I think. As far as my answer to that would be, it's not about what I think. It's about what the expectations are. Well, Kenny Payne knows the expectations are here, whether he agrees with them or not. He knows what he got into with this position. He was a player here. He helped create those expectations. He also was at University of Kentucky. I mean, I'll tell you right now, I think they would have fired him after year one, going 4-28. So
I totally agree.
So the idea that we're too tough here on people, I mean, if he went to Kansas and went 4-28, he's gone. So if he replaced Bill Self after Bill Self retired, he went 4-28, he's out of here. Now, I know the situation he inherited is not the same as those two schools. So there is that, and I'll give him that. But the point is, he knows what the expectations are here. And there is no, well, hey, if we win 14 games this year, that's over 3 times better than last year. Well, no kidding. And I mean, is there a situation where he wins 21 games, 22 games, and he's on the bubble and maybe he comes back? Yeah, I guess the jury's still out on me. I wouldn't be as mad as I was about it this year after what I saw this season. But I'm still, I'm tired of it, man. I mean, that's not, getting a tournament is not hard. And so the idea, well, do you really think we can? I don't know if we can or not. And I wouldn't put money on it after what I saw last year, not even close. But I also don't think it's very hard for this roster, if it's properly coached and made to be properly compatible, runs the right type of system, a old school Florida State type system before the last couple of years, when they were spanking Chris Mack's ass all over the court, whether he was at Xavier or Louisville. Those Florida State teams, that's the kind of mentality and type of style of play I'd love to see. And if you have that, if you utilize the strengths of all these guys, since you went out and got them, and Nolan Smith's on Twitter talking about I'm keeping receipts, okay, you guys must have a plan. I want to see it, because this is not a tough conference right now. This is not the ACC that we were used to 5 or 6 years ago. It's a cupcake conference, if we're being honest. I mean, there's not many conferences I'd rather be in right now that have like the potential to have good teams like Duke and North Carolina and all that, but nobody really scares me. So, yeah, do what you got to do to get in the tournament, man.
Yeah, and you bring up Florida State, and I think that's a really good comparison, because the way the roster is constructed, that's what we look like. Leonard Hamilton does. I mean, people don't realize, like, Leonard Hamilton's 73 years old. I mean, going on 74.
He looks like he's 33.
Yeah, I mean, he looks great, but
I'm pretty sure he's 76, because I was looking at Gates.
Okay.
I'll be honest, I was looking at Gates as our next coach, and Florida State's the one that would worry me the most.
Yeah,
so I looked at his age.
He's no spring chicken. He looks great for his age, but he's no spring chicken. It does feel like Florida State is taking a step back right now with the dynamic of NIL coming to the forefront. I
think it's because Gates left.
And it could be, but the way that the roster is constructed and the hole that is now gaping, the gaping hole that's in the ACC, leave it alone.
Okay.
We're built to fit that niche that was Florida State. Okay. The question is going to be, can this staff get this team to play like a Florida State team that's been honestly an Achilles heel, even when Rick was here. I mean, we had trouble with Florida State when Rick was here. We've had trouble with them ever since, they've been a program for the past 6-7 years, so the baby steps that we need to see with this staff, with this roster, with this team this coming year is, can they beat the Cupcakes in deciding fashion? If they can do
fill
that
gaping hole?
to fill, stuff it in there. Just
Okay. Okay.
If
I'm using Ross as an
if
example.
if you can
Basketball related.
if you can
This is a
give
family show, Ross.
if you can give it to the little
I know
people,
it's your birthday, man, but you got to calm down.
if you can give it to the little people,
Oh no!
that's you expect to win those games, and that was the big problem last year. We're losing to Bellarmine, we're losing to Appalachian State, we're losing to Lenoir-Rhyne, for God's
Listerine
sake.
College. I mean,
Listerine.
That's what I call them because I couldn't figure out their name. I was like, Listerine.
Let's see this talent. Let's see this talent go out there and handle the business the way that they should, because they're the better team talent-wise. Let them grow through their inexperience and get them ready for later in the season for the conference, because you're right, Ty. Like, it's probably going to take 14 wins in conference to get in the tournament this year. Now, if the ACC is kind of back to where it needs to be, and the Blue Bloods are really good, and the conference is more competitive, and it's looked upon as one of the Blue Bloods of college basketball, then maybe a 13 win, maybe even 12. I don't even want to think about that, but maybe that gets you in. But that's what we need to see. We need to see them beating up on Cupcakes first. Show me that.
Those exhibition games will be a big telltale for me, because coming into this past season, when we lost those two exhibition games, I was out on this team right away, because you could just see it right there. The warning signs in those games. It was just this team, you knew right from those exhibition games that this team was not going to be competitive at all. And UofL 248 in the chat has made a lot of good points about the competitiveness that this team this past year had. And that's something that I think will be instrumental moving forward as far as whether or not the coaching staff gets another year. I know like every one of us on this show has pretty much said tournament or bust, but if I could see scenarios play out where even if we don't make the tournament, the staff gets another year. Like, say if we're right there competitive in most every game, we win 17, 18 games, but the losses are very, very competitive losses and not constantly double digit, right from the outset, you're down at the first media timeout by 10 points. And those type of anti-competitive games, if you're not in those situations again, and your team is competing hard in close competition, I think that could actually sway some of our opinions throughout the year. But if we go out and lay an egg in our first two exhibition games, like we did last year, everybody's going to jump off, and this staff may not make it to the end of the calendar year.
I can absolutely see that. Like, if we get to say, just like on the bubble, and it's like a close bubble, you know what I mean? Like we're right there, we're competitive, just had maybe a one bad loss or something like that. I could see that. But it's got to be that or the tournament. And I don't want to go too far on this, but I remember in our Discord the day that we lost to Lenoir-Rhyne. That is one of the most darkest days in Discord history. That was just horrible. I don't know.
Out of there.
That night, the Maui tournament. I think we all collectively drank so much bourbon and whiskey and alcohol for the Maui tournament. I don't know how you could watch that and not drink heavily, but no more.
Yeah.
And I know, I'm the only one that saw him play, probably on this show. But the fact that Lenoir-Rhyne was coached by Everett Sullivan, to me, just made it even worse, because it's like, man, we brought the wrong player in as our coach.
Yeah. I'll tell you. So I don't know if people remember this, but the day before the Lenore Ryan loss was the Wake Forest win in football, where we had that monstrous third quarter and just like, I was literally on my way up to Cincinnati, listening to that game on the radio, listen to us just curb stomp Wake Forest in that third quarter, and just everything just go right for our team that day. And then went to a Halloween party that night. Come back the next day, I'm super excited. I mean, I'm like, man, the juices are going good for UofL. You know what I mean? Like, we're feeling good, we're looking good.
Yeah, the mojo
like,
was great.
Yeah, it was so good. And then
it came to a crashing halt.
I'm like passing like the Warsaw Sparta exit, coming back to Louisville, passing the racetrack. I get to Carrollton, and I'm like, what is going on with our basketball? We're gonna lose this game. like
Is this real life?
Yeah, I was like, how can one person and one fan base go so high and then just fall so hard in literally 24 hours? I could not believe what I would. And it got to like 5 minutes to go. I just turned it off. I'm like, all right, I'm turning on Spotify on my phone. This is BS, man. I can't take this. I was like, because I knew we were going to lose. Like, it wasn't going to be. I was like, we're going to lose to Lenore Ryan in an exhibition game to start the year. Kenny Payne season 1. I just couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. You could not have told me that was going to happen based on everything that we had heard coming out of this summer.
Well, the good news is we'll know right off the bat if we've gotten any better or not. It'll take because I guarantee you whoever we play first is not any worse than that team. So that's the good news. It won't take us long. We won't have to be like, well, the beginning of our schedule is really easy. It's front loaded with weak teams, so we won't know if we're any good till we get into the heart of our ACC play. No, we're gonna know right off the bat, at least if we're trudging the same old song and dance out there as we did last year. We'll know by game 1. So doesn't mean we're got now. The only question is, even if we've gotten better, how much better can we? Because I mean, getting better, I mean, it's not the barometer here. Getting astronomically better is the barometer here. So let's make that very clear. And that's what we expect. And I mean, the roster has a talent influx, and props to the staff for doing that. It's up to them to overcome the deficiencies of the youth that they've voluntarily decided to go with, and the lack of shooting and probably the lack of a solid, typical 2 guard. So obviously, you have to have a plan in place when you bring guys like what they brought in. You've got the talent there, and it's up to you to execute that plan. It's up to you to get the egos together. Something we were told Kenny Payne was really good at doing at UK was managing egos. We were told he was really good at the New York Knicks at managing egos. Now, I do see the problem, and I brought up in one of the very early pilot episodes, where we were just pilot draft episodes of this pod, but as the head coach, you've really got to defer some of that ego management to your assistants, because you've got strategic planning and managing to do. You've got a lot of aspects. You got a lot of places you need to invest your time and energy, and only so much time and energy. So hopefully a guy like Nolan Smith, for example, or maybe Danny Manning can, manage some of these egos and get these guys to play together, get these guys to see the bigger picture. And I just want to see a sound concrete system, and then we execute it. And if we win, if we barely sneak in the tournament, great. I don't expect us, like I said, I'm not expecting a lot. I think the idea of saying tournament or bust freaks some people out, because they think that's really high expectations to put on somebody that just won 4 games. But it's not high expectations at all for this program. And being one of the 68 teams in the NCAA tournament in a weak ACC, it's not that hard. It's not. Make it happen.
Yeah.
Well, and I don't want to get too negative, thinking about last season on a night like tonight. We should be celebrating the commitment of Ty-Laur Johnson. And I think one of the other outstanding pieces of his commitment, in addition to this roster, is the fact that, before this commitment, we were looking at Coron Davis as potentially having to play a very significant minutes in this backcourt. And I think the fact that now he's not necessarily going to be one of those integral pieces to our guard rotation, but somebody who could come in and ease into the program a little bit more. I think that's actually one of the benefits to having a guy like Ty-Laur Johnson commit. And so that's one of the other positive I took away from this and wanted to point that out as well. And I'm not sure what you guys thought of that as well, but that was one of the first things I thought of.
I mean, the inexperience factor is there and it's real, but if the staff if they can manage this roster and they can get this roster to grow together, all right, and get them to believe that they're good enough and get them to play. And, I could see a scenario where things go very, very well this year. I do see that. But we have to see it. Seeing is believing. I know there's a lot of us, and we've taken a lot of flack for being supposedly pessimist and, haters and all this and that. And
I think we've been very fair. I will say we've given them their props when it was earned.
That's what I'm getting at. Like, I feel like, honestly, we share a lot of the opinions of what the middle of the road fan base shares. I'm excited. Like I said, I'm excited about the addition of Ty-Laur Johnson. I'm excited now with his addition. When you look at the roster, how it is, how it's made up. It looks good. But it's going to be on the coaching staff to do their thing. They're going to have to mold these guys and make them a team and get them to all work through their deficiencies and those inexperience factors together and get them to play together. And they're going to have to manage all of that, and that's going to be hard to do for a very inexperienced staff. So if they can do that, you will hear all of us congratulate them, just as we've congratulated them on flipping the roster and improving the talent on this roster, because they have done that. Okay, so I'm with you. Like, if we give credit where it's due, and then we point out things that we see as possibly problematic. We're not a stupid fan base. We're not. We've never been a stupid fan base. It doesn't take, you don't have to be a college D1 coach to see that there's an issue here, an issue there. We've seen from Denny Crum to Rick Pitino, we've seen what success looks like. We know when we see problems. We know when we see things are trending in the right way. We know when we see things are trending in the wrong way, so the talent influx that is here now is trending in the right direction. That is a Louisville staple to have talent. Okay. Now we got to see if the coaching staff is up to the job to get it done.
Did we lose our baseball coach, or is he just making that comment?
I think that's fake news. He's just making the comment.
I was going to say, I hope so.
Although we do this song and dance with Dan a lot. I don't know if y'all want to go into that or not.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
You guys can.
I'm going to be honest. For me, I'm more of a basketball and football kind of guy.
Same.
You cannot pay me enough money in the world to watch a full baseball game on TV. I can't.
Same, man.
Keep the money. That's not going to happen. Now, in terms of Louisville baseball, I do give Dan and his program more attention because of how great he's been and what he's done and what he's accomplished. When it comes to tournament baseball or postseason baseball, I'll tune in and I'll watch. But the regular season stuff, I don't really care for. So I'm going to be honest. Apparently, this season did not go as we had all hoped. I remember Louisville baseball started out high. It was like 18-2, right?
I don't know. I just remember on this pod, you guys were over the moon with this. You baseball guys thought this was the roster.
It started off so great, and apparently it hasn't. And I know Dan made some comments. I'm going to be honest, man. In terms of I think he made some comments regarding the facilities and things of that nature. For me, Dan McDonnell has built a very successful program here. I know the last, 2 or 3 last seasons haven't been that up to par. But as far as I'm concerned, when it comes to that, I think we need to give Dan the tools and the utilities that he needs, and that he's demanding. I know that there was plans for an upgraded facility, and it might not have gone through, or there might have been funding issues. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I know the answer. All that stuff's kind of over my head. But whatever we need to do to get that done, we need to get it done, because Dan McDonnell is a great coach. He's a great baseball coach. I want Dan to be here for the immediate future and the long-term future. Louisville baseball is absolutely nothing at this point without Dan McDonnell. So I don't know if how Dan's feeling. I know we kind of seemingly do this song and dance with him just about every year now, the last few years, and luckily we've retained him every single time. I don't know if that's going to be any different this offseason or not, but we need to step it up in terms of the facilities for baseball. I know you all, Ash, you could probably make a little more, and Ross, you probably know a little more than I do about it. But from what I understand, just as a casual baseball fan, it's not up to par with other schools in the ACC.
It's not, and Dan, under the last leadership that is no longer here, Dan was promised certain things were going to get done, and those obligations after the change in leadership and the athletic administration, those were not followed through. So this athletic department needs to realize that Dan still expects those things, and this baseball program deserves those things. Okay. Yeah, baseball is not a money-making program. They do not generate a profit, but they mean a lot. And when I say a lot, they mean a lot to the brand that is Louisville. Okay, the Louisville being competitive in baseball has become a normalized thing in the college environment. So, and that's been because of Dan. He has grown it into that, and he's taken us to levels that we've never seen. And I understand that we have some money issues, and we've got all these things going on, but you better find the money, okay? Because the alternative is not good. It's not good. It's not going to be good. And it's going to be hard to find another coach. Dan's not even asking for more money. He just wants his program to be on par with where he expects it to be to the Southern schools. Okay. Give him the facilities, give him the money. He's earned it. Okay. And I would just say, like, when you have okay, when football's done and basketball's done, for Louisville sports, we look to baseball. Maybe you don't, or maybe you don't, but there's a lot of us that do. That fills a big gap. Okay, and if you're just looking at it from a casual fan standpoint, when Louisville's competitive and they're at the highest level in baseball and they're going to Omaha, that Louisville name is relevant and is making its name heard on the college landscape then. You know what I'm saying? That's the one thing that Tom Jurich was so great at, is that he kept the Louisville name constantly relevant, no matter what time of year it was. It wasn't just selective. It wasn't just fall sports. It wasn't just, March Madness. It wasn't just bowl season. Louisville was relevant across the board all the time. So I'm telling you, I don't think Dan's going to take another job. I think what Dan's looking at is that if I don't get what I want, he's gonna retire, and he's gonna step away for a little while. Whether I really don't think he would stay retired. personally, but I think he'll walk away because if he feels like he's wasting his time, he's not going to stay. Why would he? I mean, he's not hurting for money. He's paid very well. He's a top 10 paid college baseball coach. He's not hurting. So if we want to stay relevant throughout the season, I would say give him at least what Ty Ray promised him. You need to do that.
Yeah, and what you were mentioning about the brand and that kind of thing, there is monetary value, and it's hard to put an exact dollar figure on keeping your university's athletic department front and center year round.
Yes.
And when people, like, for instance, when we talked about the year of the Cardinal, when we had men's and women's basketball both making the Final Four, we had the football team going to the Sugar Bowl, baseball going to Omaha, all in the same year. I mean, that entire well-rounded brand was talked about nightly for almost every night for an entire year.
Maybe
on different
2 years,
sports centers and things like that. And so people would come up to me. I would be in Oregon, and people would come up to me, "Hey man," and they see me wearing something Louisville, and they'd be like, "Man, you guys are really rolling in everything this year, aren't you?" And they want to talk about Louisville athletics as a whole, not just basketball or not just football. And so there is some value there to excel in more than just one or two sports, and to have other things rolling. And some of the criticisms that I see on Twitter and message boards and things like that of Dan are really unfounded, in my opinion. Because one, we need to get this indoor batting cage thing figured out. If you looked at last night in Major League Baseball, we had Bobby Miller making his Major League debut, going 5 strong innings. And his battery mate in that game was Will Smith. So we had 2 Louisville Cardinal alums for the LA Dodgers as the battery. And that's just amazing to me. I read a statistic earlier this spring where since 2013, there's been no program have more Major League debuts than the University of Louisville since 2013. I mean, that to me is just astounding, because I can remember a time where before Sean Green debuted in Major League Baseball, and I don't remember if it was like 06, it was sometime in that time frame, like 05, 06, when Sean Green debuted. He was the very first guy from the University of Louisville to ever debut in the majors. So to come from having literally nobody play in Major League Baseball from UofL to now having the most guys debut over a decade time span, it just shows you what Dan has done and meant to this program. And so we've got to build that back up and give him what he needs and the tools that he needs. So I just want to see this succeed.
Yeah, Dan's done all that and has all that success, and they've been doing BP out of Ross's backyard. I mean, it's kind of crazy.
Hey, the grass is kind of tall. What can I say?
That's why Ross is cutting the grass all the time. They need to do some BP.
Yeah, if they were taking BP in my backyard, it'd be grass, track, grass.
Well, and I also saw that Jeff Brom landed a quarterback at tight end this week.
Yeah, Joey Gatewood.
Yeah, that was way out of left field. I would have never guessed that in a million years, but I don't know. We'll see what happens there. I know we had some tight end prospects we were trying to get on campus for visits, and just never happened. And he's definitely athletic, and he had a lot of, he was very highly regarded before he committed to UK of all schools, and then he left there and just hasn't made it as a quarterback. So why not try it? It really nothing to lose.
I'm going to give you the assignment. I want you to go find some tweets and comments of what UK fans were saying about Gatewood when he was going to UK, and we're just going to roll with those, and then we'll just comment on those. Those would be great. I mean,
yeah, Kentucky fans were so excited about Gatewood when he came in. Now they've done a 180. It's funny how that works. Before I get into Gatewood, Trent, I saw your comment about the Knicks. I was looking throughout the playoffs. I couldn't find the Indiana Pacers in there. Did you all see the Pacers in the playoffs? I didn't see them. But the Knicks were in the Eastern Conference semifinals. So
I did in like 2000.
Yeah, back in like 2000. It's been a minute since I've seen the Pacers. But no, Joey Gatewood, that's kind of interesting. So I think Jeff's plan is he's going to play Gatewood at tight end, which we haven't seen.
Right.
And I don't think Gatewood. I know he transferred to UCF out of from Kentucky, so I don't think he registered any receiving stats.
Nope.
So it's going to be interesting to see how that works. I think the word on Gatewood is he's a really good athlete. And if he could put on that weight and have that frame to play tight end, that'd be exciting. I feel like Jeff has pretty much kind of knocked it out of the park in terms of the roster and the additions. The only question mark I really have was tight end, and I still kind of have that question mark. But
Yeah.
I figure at this point you're down to the last few scholarships. So why not take a flyer on a guy like Joey Gatewood, see what he can do, and if he could bring anything to the tight end room.
Yeah. I mean, there's certainly there is a history of college QBs, so to speak, that transition into tight ends.
Zeke Pike.
Zeke Pike. I know a lot of people wanted Tebow, at the next level to transition into
He was a good locker room guy.
I think sheesh. We're not even gonna get into that, all right, man. That dude's gonna have to make amends with his
Didn't he the one they caught having beer in the locker room? Was it him getting drunk in the locker room, or am I misremembering?
It was him. I'm telling you, but the Zeke Pike stuff runs a lot darker and a lot deeper than that.
I know.
So.
Yeah, it does.
We won't go down that route.
Yeah,
No.
we don't need to. But
No,
I do believe that Tebow could have been a good tight end at the NFL level. When I think of somebody, go to Virginia Tech, you have somebody like Logan Thomas, former Virginia Tech quarterback. He transitioned into tight end. He was a pretty good athlete too, for his size. So I think there's positive affirmations to show that it can be done. There's a track record there to show it can be done. So I think if Gatewood is bought in, if he's as good an athlete as we believe and everybody else believed he was before then, him catching a football shouldn't be an issue. Okay. And honestly, you take a former quarterback and you put him in at the tight end position and you say, okay, you got this zone coverage. Like, he's going to go find the soft spots. Like, he's going to know where his quarterback wants him to be. He's going to go, he should be open. And if he's an athlete, he's going to be able to exploit the seams going upfield, which is great for Brom's system. It could be a great fit. And listen to some people that are close to the program. They're actually very high on Gatewood and this possibility. He's actually buying into the tight end position now. It's not like where he's being recruited as a quarterback. No, he's recruited as a tight end. He's bought into that idea and he's going to make it work. Like, we may be the benefactor of a really, really good, I don't even know what to say. Like, we may benefit from this.
I think you're saying that we are adapting to positionless football.
Right. Hey,
Please
Ross,
don't go there.
Ross, how are you going to say all those examples and not do the best one of all, Travis Kelce? And I'm not sitting here to say Joey Gatewood's Travis Kelce, but Travis
He's
Kelce
saying Joey Gatewood was the next Travis Kelce.
I'm not. No.
Ty
But
called it.
out.
Travis Kelce went to Cincinnati to play quarterback. And actually, yeah, he did. I do believe so. And then they moved him over to tight end, and he's possibly the best to ever play. So I am not saying that Joey Gatewood is going to be Travis Kelce.
He's going to be better.
But he's going to be better. No, but hey, it's happened. It's happened before. It's happened before. So as a last few scholarship additions, you're down to your last few. I don't see the problem in it.
Two or three left, I think.
Hey, Travis Kelce was a quarterback, and Russ Smith was a 2-star.
Mm-hmm. I like where this is going.
Well, I mean,
That's
you know,
for anybody that doesn't realize, because if they're not on the message boards or on Twitter, anytime there's a basketball player that's like a sleeper, somebody goes, Russ Smith was a 2-star, and they like totally ignore the thousands of others that are just complete busts, like, and they go straight to that. And so like that's just what that reminds me of.
yeah. I mean, you know, he could be. It could not work out. You're not wrong, but I will say that people that have connections around the staff, they seem to be very, very excited about this Gatewood addition. They seem to be very excited about what he could bring to the program this year. Not, you know, it. You got Jamari Johnson, and you've got this kid, okay, and you can like, I don't have any doubts that this kid's gonna know where to be in a lot of like Brom sees a lot of zone coverage. Okay, he does. Like his offense demands that. It's just the way it is because he usually has athletes that are going to exploit you. So you don't want to go man. Like you just want to try to cover areas of the field. This kid's going to know this guy is going to know where to be at on the field. Okay, and they're going to put him in positions to win. So as long as he catches a football,
Anthony asked if
it's a win. Like it's a win. He's gonna like. I have to believe he's grown up playing quarterback his entire life. He's gonna have a higher football IQ than the average player. Okay, so he's gonna understand defenses. He's gonna understand, you know, routes, how to get open. You know, he's going to have a lot of room to grow if he's that great of an athlete, but this could be a great fit, and this could be a very good thing as we groom Jamari Johnson into the offense.
Yeah. So Anthony's asking about Milton Wright, and do we still think we're going to get him eligible? I'm not thinking so. And that's just, I mean, I don't really know, but I know there's people that have said that would know that have said it's a very long shot. I'm also kind of questioning where his head's really at. Obviously, to be in the situation where he couldn't make the grades to begin with, and apparently it's because he just wasn't showing up to class when that's really mostly all he had to do. And now he's it just sounds like it's going to be a lot of obstacles to overcome to get Milton Wright at Louisville. We love to see it and be a great weapon. I mean, I was all about it. I posted on Twitter twice of Milton GIFs, hoping that I could drum that up. And then both times we got different commitments. But since then it's come out. And it doesn't sound like we're going to get him, but I hope to be pleasantly surprised.
I'm going on record right now. He's going to get the last scholarship.
Heard it here first.
You've been saying that for a while.
Breaking news.
Yeah. The staff wants him bad. I'm telling you, the amount of effort that they're putting in to try to get him eligible tells me that they're not gonna quit on this.
I don't think the staff's effort's the problem, but we'll see.
Yeah, but there's nothing that Milton Wright can do right now to get eligible, right? Because everything that he's done's already happened.
I don't know.
I will just say that the staff wants him, and I just really believe that they're going to find a way to make it happen. I think he's going to get that last scholarship, and I think they're keeping one open for him. He's that good, and they believe that he can make that big of a difference. That's my opinion. I don't know anything.
It's your birthday present from Jeff Brom.
I'm just telling you, like, I think he's going to be on this roster come August 31st. I do. He's going to be there.
I would love to see it because he's very talented. So,
oh man, whew, man, thinking about him on the field with the other talent that we have lined up,
and right next to Joey Gatewood, it would be. You got to line them up on the other side would be.
Connor says that he'd have to take his summer classes at Purdue to catch up, which may be an issue. So that's probably
do we know that though? Like I thought at this point the eligibility part was kind of figured out, right? Is that what we've heard last? Like, do we really know that's what he needs to do?
I don't know. Last I heard was a very, very, very long shot. A lot of work would need to be done, and maybe
Connor thinks he knows a lot of shit, right? But Connor don't know shit, so it is.
No, I mean he does. Coach House, I don't have a crystal ball to register.
He always calls him Coach House.
Coach House.
Couch.
Reading is fundamental.
It's just English.
Fool you once, shame on Couch House.
I don't have a crystal
twice,
ball.
Shame
man.
on Coach House.
I don't have a crystal ball, but I'm telling you, if I did have one, yes, I'd be putting it in for sure. I think it's going to happen. I do. I really do. Because the coaching staff seems determined to make it happen. Okay.
Ross,
So
what's your crystal ball percentage this year? What are we looking like?
On what?
Just your crystal balls in general. Did you put one in for Minifield? Have that didn't really.
No, I didn't put one in for that.
Ty wants to know about your balls.
No,
I'm
talking crystal balls.
Your crystal ball.
They ain't blue, I'll tell you that.
That's true.
It is your birthday. They shouldn't be.
It is his birthday, and it's one of those guaranteed nights of the year, so he's probably wanting to wrap this show up.
We have touched them all
Wrap
here on the
something
Third
up.
Banner podcast.
Oh man!
All right, guys.
Yeah, no,
well, I appreciate everybody watching the show
I don't-
tonight. And thanks for chiming in. Make sure you got those notifications turned on. You like the show on all of our social platforms. Make sure that you've got those. You're subscribed to the YouTube so that way you get the notification that when we're going on live every week. Appreciate you guys. Keep giving us the feedback. Does anybody else got any final words for tonight?
Yeah, I like this episode, even if you think it sucks, because it sure does help the algorithm.
Yeah.
Go Cards.
Yeah. Hit the like. Birthday balls. Hit the like. Yeah. Hit them likes, man. Hit
Like
them
and
likes,
subscribe. Ring the bells. Joey Gatewood is the next Travis Kelce. That's all I gotta say.
Milton Wright will be at Louisville per Ross.
Yeah, well, he's coming.
I hope so too, guys. I hope we have him lined up for a commitment before the next show. I just want to say, happy birthday, Ross. Thank you guys, and Kyle and Ty and Ross, for the show tonight. It's been fun. I don't have any other words than that. And I'm looking forward to next week. And I can't wait to see what the next edition is in Kyle's
Go long, Travis Kelce.
display over here. So
Is that Jack Plummer?
Hey, how much you want to bet he can throw that football clear on them mountains?
More like whack bummer, but hey, whatever.
I need to get me a helmet to wear during the show.
Man, if Coach had just put me in fourth quarter, man.
Well, and if Kenny can get another guy like
Coach
he
House
did this week, Kenny can be president. I'll sign up for the president for Kenny Payne if he can keep doing this. So.
Hell, he'd be a better candidate than what we got now. Oh shit, better sign off.
All right,
guys.
Cards.
Go
Go
Cards.
Cards.
Go Cards, go Kroger, baby.